Welcome back to another episode of Market Snapshot, where we'll be breaking down all things economy, not only from 2023, but also now in 2024. So, Ruben, like always, we're going to talk about three things that have to do with the economy and the market and real estate. So what are the three things we're going to talk about today?
So the first thing we're going to do, Jen, is we're going to go through the numbers that came out this month that include December of last year and then the totals for the year, and get kind of an idea of like what 2023 looked like, why did it look like that way, and kind of set the context for going into the next year. Then we're going to talk a little bit about specifically mortgage rates. Where are they now? How did we get here? Where do we think they're going? And then lastly, we're going to give our projections for the housing market for next year.
Love it. Love it. I know everybody's going to be interested in what's this year going to look like, but we got to start out with what did the end of the year really look like for all of us in real estate, and what was the whole recap of 2023?
Yeah, so starting with December, home sales hit, the lowest pace in basically a couple of decades, right? We were at 3.78 million homes on an annualized basis. We saw prices dip a little bit. That's normal seasonally.
Sure.
And we've seen inventory come down some too. Also normal seasonal pattern. Typically that's going to bottom out December, January. What we think right now is that probably we're kind of bouncing along the bottom of where home sales can go. We'll talk about in a minute where we think that's going to end up next year. But right now we don't think, even with a recession, it would be hard for home sales to get much below where they are right now.
Yeah, you said that home sales in December were the lowest since what year?
I want to say 96.
Wow.
Given where the population is, given the fact the economy is doing well right now, we're really just seeing people moving that have to move. As we go into next year, like the further we get away from 3% mortgage rates people have been sitting on for a while, the more we see a decline in interest rates going forward, the more opportunity there is for the housing market to improve.
Yeah. Well, and the economy right now is doing great, right? So overall, in general, consumer sentiment is up. I heard this morning there are places in the United States where gas is less than $3 a gallon, which seems crazy, but how is that affecting what's going on?
Yeah, it really sort of is a harsh juxtaposition for us, right? We're sitting at, recapping the year, we hit about 4.1 million home sales. That's basically where we were in 2008. So
wow.
Inside of the real estate industry, it feels like, back to essentially the biggest recession most of us experienced in our lifetimes. But for the rest of the economy, things are going really well. With unemployment at 3.6%, GDP is growing at a healthy pace, incomes are increasing. It's really the interest rates that are keeping people from making decisions to purchase homes right now.
Got it. So what I heard you and Gary say before is it's anything that has to do with money. If it's the cost of money right now is involved in the purchase, then those industries are suffering a little bit, and that's us.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And if we kind of look back over last year, if you look at how the year shaped out, the beginning of the year, we came off of 22 with home sales declining. Beginning of the year, they started to go up again as we saw a little bit of a dip in mortgage rates, right? Well,
sure.
Starting after like about March, rates just have trended up pretty much the entire year, all the way until December when they finally started to come back down again. Rates peaked right at around 8%. We're now sitting at about 6.9%. And as we go forward, we think they're going to continue to slowly decline. Most projections right now put us near 6% by the end of the year. So from 6.9 to 6, it's about a 1% dip, but over a year, it's going to feel slow.
It's going to be slow. So we're shifting into the mortgage conversation now. Last year, we saw the highest highs we've seen in mortgage rates in a really long time, which definitely affects the way consumers feel about going out and buying homes. But one of the key things you and I were talking about was that it also locks or has that golden handcuff effect on current homeowners because they are living in a home that has such a low interest rate. With interest rates moving down this year, do we expect inventory to pick up?
That's sort of the big question right now. It's like, what is inventory going to do next year? There's a lot of uncertainty there. The hope is that as mortgage rates trend down, as more time passes, we get further away from those 3% rates, that a larger portion of the homeowner population is going to be willing to part with those rates, or some portion that has a slightly higher rate is going to be more willing to exchange those for 6%.
Sure.
And that we will see inventory start to increase. On the new construction side, we're seeing some improvement there, but again, rates affect that industry as well, right? There's a lot of borrowed money involved in developing new homes. So that's also kind of slowed down a bit. So that's sort of the big question for next year is, as rates come down, do we see more homeowners willing to list their homes?
Right.
Have they been delaying decisions over the last 2 years? And are they now going to be, as they see the rates trend down, more willing to either accept that new lower rate or at least take the gamble that, this rate's temporary, right? I'm going to, date this rate and marry the home, right?
The house, yes.
So the odds that they think with rates continuing to go down, that in a year or two they can refinance at an even lower rate, right? So
Gotcha.
That's another part of the hope for new inventory as we go into next year.
Sure. So what I'm hearing you say, and what we were talking about offline too, Ruben, is if I'm a realtor or I'm a buyer or seller, I should be really paying attention right now to the balance between mortgage rates and inventory. Because what you told me is that last year we still saw price increases because it doesn't matter how few homes are available if the amount of buyers is equal to that. And if we see buyers come into the marketplace with mortgage rates dropping, but we don't see inventory pick up, we're in for the same thing, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Going on to kind of like the projection conversation, I think this sort of like talking about prices. We're projecting about a 2% increase in prices as we go into next year. That's given that we have some inventory come on the market, right?
Gotcha.
It wouldn't take much to end up back where we were this year at 4.5% to 5% increase in the median price if we don't see inventory come on in the pace that we're expecting.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because 2.5 doesn't seem like much. It seems flat-ish, if you will, for price increases comparatively to where we've been. And if we're not paying attention, we're going to find ourselves either in a place where we missed the market, the opportunity to come in at the right time and sell, or as a buyer, buy at the right time if we're not monitoring how interest rates are affecting the inventory coming online.
Yeah, I mean, next year's definitely the year to pay attention. Rates should be coming down. Inventory should be going up. We're coming off the slowest pace of home sales we've seen in over a decade. There should be opportunity given those factors, right? It's just a matter of like, what is your personal position? What can you do? The sort of opportunity is now starting to show up. Like, we're not in a rising mortgage rate environment. That's a scary place to be as a home buyer. It's a lot easier to make a decision when you see rates going down. It can get you a little bit intimidating, right, with the timing, which is why they should be talking to their, real estate professional. I think, going on to what home sales should probably look like next year, we're going to see some improvement, but it's not going to be dramatic. We're expecting, we're at 4.1 this year. We're expecting to get 4.3 million as we go.
That's better.
Yes.
It's better.
It's going to be improving, and 2025 is like when we can really see more opportunity for things to pick up.
Sure. So kind of the conversation you and I had a few market snapshots ago where we said the bottom is near. We think we might be there is what I heard you say. We just don't know how wide the bottom is. And so that's going to affect the pace of home sales for 2024, maybe why it's not going to pick up so fast. Am I understanding that right?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. When we've gotten into these sort of situations in the past, they usually last, 2, 3, sometimes even 4 years, depending on the severity of the situation that got us here. We're not coming out of the Great Recession, so I think that gives us a good chance this is going to be shorter. We're on our second year now, going into our third. So I think given that, there's a good chance, we're going to see improvement next year, and we're going to come out of it in 2025 even stronger.
Got it. So I'm hearing good news all around. I'm hearing mortgage rates are going to be trending down. I'm hearing we hope that inventory will pick up as both buyers and sellers see the opportunity coming online for them to make a move. And the economy's doing great. So all things seem to be pointing in the right direction. Just for our real estate professionals, it's going to be a little bit of a slow rise.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay. So we should be paying attention, watching what the Fed says. And really, again, at the end of the day, I'm thinking about all this information that you've given us. Prices are still rising. So if I'm thinking about buying and I have hope that interest rates are going to be lower, I should really be thinking about talking to a professional now so that I can get into a home, because all the other factors are moving in the right direction for me, except for home prices. And that's not going to slow down. It's not going fast, right? I didn't hear fast, but it's still going up. So I should be paying attention to that if I'm wanting to buy.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And the risk is more that they go up faster than slower, right?
Right.
If we're going to have something miss these projections, it's more likely that we're going to see home prices jump higher than we expect than to see them dip.
Yeah.
And you're exactly right. With home prices set to continue rising right now, there's a trade-off of between the interest rates going down and the prices going up. And like we said before, inventory may not be as quick to come on the market as buyers are.
Right.
So there's certainly, I think, a conversation that people need to be having with, their real estate agent of, what is the rate for me and what is the price I can do at that rate? Understanding that I'll potentially have the opportunity to refinance if rates really do dip further than expected, right? Sometime in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So figure out what that means to you today. Maybe we can do a little math, sitting with a professional on what would it look like if it were this rate or that rate. But knowing that prices are still going to continue to increase, I think the best advice we can give everybody is figure out what makes the most sense for you. And there's no such thing as timing the market, right? But we can watch where it's going to make sure we're making the right decision at the right time.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Thank you, as always, Ruben, for all of this fantastic information, bringing us all things real estate and how we should be talking to our clients and what our clients should be thinking about right now. And don't forget to subscribe because you won't want to miss a single one of our 2024 Market Snapshot episodes, including next month, we're going to be in Las Vegas with the one, the only Gary Keller, and we'll be recapping his vision speech on what 2024 is going to look like, and you won't want to miss that.